BS3 Network.
Back again with another great show. The forecast, we are the three cast tonight. As you could see in the description of the show, Island Doc is being Island Doc again. So he is somewhere off the coast, sipping a Mai Tai with his feet in the sand or in the water or something like that. So he will not be here tonight or next week. We will have Keisha on the show next week. She wasn't able to be on tonight. So you got the three of us. We could come at you again with another great review. Tonight, coming at you with 1001. This was I don't want to get too into it, but man, this was a powerful movie. It had a lot of
pretty good.
Had a lot of great moments in it. I think top actors in it, and it was relatable, and it had a lot of clips from that time in the news, which I think also gave it kind of a very well put together film. It was directed by A.V. Rockwell. I haven't heard of her before, but seems like some really good work. And let me read the description real quick, and then we'll get kind of go around the room. Unapologetic and free-spirited Inez kidnaps her 6-year-old son, Terry, from the foster care system. They set out to reclaim their sense of home, identity, and stability in a rapidly changing New York City. I think that's a great description. All right, so we can go to H-Rap first, man. First off, how you doing? And then some initial thoughts. Happy Father's Day to you guys.
Happy Father's Day to you too. Happy Father's Day to everybody who's listening. And happy Parents' Day going forward,
Right.
But I'm all good, man. Ready to go. This was a very good movie, very interesting. I enjoyed it from start to finish, and as you stated, it had the perfect mixture of nostalgia and content. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right, Whoops.
No, I liked how they were able to capture the moment. I mean, it felt like it was in the 90s. That it did very well. Like, oh man, this could have came out 10, 20 years ago. I mean, it was done well. The film that they used to record it on, I mean, it was done good. So I enjoyed it. I didn't know what to think of it at first because I'd never heard of it, but I mean, I was interested just from reading the title reading the information about it. But yeah, I thought it was done good.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Thank you first off those for tuning in tonight. Make sure to join in the chat room like you guys always do. You can support BS3 Network with stars. So if you're tuning in on Facebook, you can check us out there. Donate to us. That'll help us continue to build the network, continue to do what we're doing. And it's also Juneteenth. So happy Juneteenth to you, brothers. I actually, interesting story. I had somebody say that to me at work. Actually, two people. And to be honest, it kind of caught me off guard because I haven't had people say that. I was kind of, I don't want to draw this comparison, but it was kind of like people in the military when you say thank you for the service, and they're like, they get a little bit like, yeah, well, you're welcome, but that was my job. That's what I was supposed to do. I was like, yeah, I'm black, so yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
I honestly didn't kind of know what to say, but
but
I think it's definitely bringing more awareness to our history, and I think that's important. If you're going to bring awareness to it, if you're going to support, we can be allies. So, all right, 1001, and this was the main character was Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor, who's an actor and an artist, music artist. And first off, man, I'll just say she killed this. And it had really had you on pins and needles throughout the movie. You didn't know kind of where it was going. In the ending, which we'll get to, that one blew me away. That's not what I was expecting to hear. So I think it was creatively done, and this was artistry. Some films, you see them and they're like, that was a good movie. To me, this was more art than it was just a movie, with the music and the score, the acting, which was well done. And so it kind of starts off. Inez, who Tiana Taylor, she's getting out of Rikers. It was based in the '90s, so pagers, payphones. I mean, it was like,
yeah,
it definitely had that. This was like a current and throwback, kind of all in one.
The big hoops,
right? The big hoop earrings, the big red
stonewashed
lipstick,
jeans,
stonewashed jeans. Yeah. But yes, her character really jumped on the scene. And what was you guys' thoughts seeing how it started off, knowing it was in this kind of '90s era, and they came straight with it right out the gate. So Wilkes, I'll go to you first.
I kind of I didn't really think about this till you mentioned it, but I kind of thought just now about the Halle Berry movie. It's not really the same, but her kind of trying to build a new life with her kid,
right,
and going from place to place and just trying to get established. I mean, she tried to go back to work, and the guy was like, "Nah, man, what, 2 years?" It was longer than that, I guess, but it was just one of those things where she done well. I was like, I don't think I've watched anything that she's been in, so this is the first for me. But man, I didn't know if she was acting or not. It was like, hey, just read these lines and show it for work.
right. I was telling A-Trap, the only thing I've seen her in was a lottery ticket, and she was like Bow Wow's ex-girlfriend. She was so annoying in that film. I was like, I don't know if I can watch anything with her in it.
This is my first movie.
But actually, this is our second movie. She was in Coming to America too.
Oh, right, she was.
Yeah, she was. That's right.
Yeah, that film.
But that shows you how much I paid attention.
Yeah, it shows how much that film was that impactful for all of us. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
But A-Trap.
Yeah, and it was dope, man. I mean, I like the way they did the origin story. Gave you the background of what was going on, and then you walked through this story and saw, man, it shows you that you can become a product of your environment no matter what happens. And hopefully, if people watch this, they'll stop judging people, because people who are what they're exposed to.
Yeah.
We have some people, like the famous line from Tupac, "I'm the rose that grew from the concrete." Yeah. Right. There are roses that are growing from the concrete. But most of the stuff that's coming up through the concrete is weeds, man.
Right.
Those are weeds. Yeah. And nobody wants the weeds. And just imagine living an existence in which people assume that you're a weed.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great statement right there. Or there is choking out whatever else is there. So Inez comes on the scene. She sees Terry. T is what his nickname. And she kind of comes up to him. So initially, and as we continue to talk about this, you'll kind of get where we're going. But initially, I'm like, okay, that's her son. She just got out. She's trying to find him. She's like, hey, I'm staying across the street.
Right.
I'm gonna be checking on you. I'm gonna be better this time. And it's kind of one of those things that if you've seen films like this, or if you know anyone that has been in jail or in and out of jail, that's their go-to line. Like, hey, I'm better now. I'm not gonna be doing this again. Yeah. So I'm thinking, all right, like where is this going? Is she really gonna be there, or is it gonna be like, as soon as an opportunity come, or I can't find work, obviously, because I'm a felon, and so I felt like that was a great opening, but also I like how they did it with Terry. It was kind of 3 stages. It was 3 different Terrys. It was one when he was what 7 or 8. Yeah, and then kind of like 13, and then when he was in college, and when he was in high school. So I felt like it really gave a good depiction of him as the character, and he's kind of hanging out with his friends, and he really doesn't have anything to do with her, which I get it. You know, your mom hasn't been around. You don't know where she was, and you're staying in a foster care. Now, I don't think any of us have stayed in foster care, but I do know of people, and that's not always the best situation, because you never know who's really taking care of you, if they're taking care of you, if they got ulterior motives. So have any of you guys experienced that, as far as like family members, cousins, or anything like that?
Haven't.
Yes and no. I've seen it. I got homeboys who lived in the foster care. Rest in peace to Nolan Posey. James Kent knows that whole. I got a whole crew of homeboys that I know them through my homeboy Nolan, and they are all foster brothers and sisters.
Oh wow!
And you know, and I do have people who are close to me who had children and they were incarcerated. I know of people who I know, put like this. I don't want to say it on air, but I'm dealing with a situation like that now. I'm watching a situation like that now.
Yeah,
I won't put that person's business in the street, but I am. It's kind of weird. I mean, because the person is angry. The young person is angry.
Mm-hmm.
And the older person is saying, I want to make amends. So they're stuck in between making amends and anger.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where Terry was. He was like, this is my mom, but I don't know where I'm trying to gauge, you know, at that young of an age, he was trying to gauge, where are you really at? Can I really trust you? Are you going to be dependable? Are you going to do, you know, what you say you're going to do? Shout out to Anna. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. So yeah, that's kind of where it kind of opens up and where it's going. And then she kind of looking for a place to stay, and Terry ends up falling out of the window and busts his head. Now, when I first seen that, I was like, there's no way he fell out of a window and bust his head. Somebody hit him in the head with something. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't think there's no way. And shout out to Knox in the building. Hey.
What's up, Anthony?
Appreciate you for tuning in. But yeah, when he had that knot on his head or the Band-Aid, I was like, nah, ain't no way this kid fell out of the window. Man. Come on, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I was a clumsy kid, man. I fell off some monkey bars. And for a very long time, I had this big lump on my head right here. So I was relating to Terry.
But I'm saying it must have been on the first floor. That's the only thing I'm thinking. Because you fell out of a window off a ledge or something like that. You would have
concrete jungle, man. It's gonna bust to the white meat show, man.
Right. You would have really got busted up. And then it kind of made me think of Paid in Full. That Band-Aid, I don't know that Band-Aid that I think that was Wood. Yeah. Man. Hey, that was a good movie, man. That was a good movie. That may be something we may have to do.
Yeah, we might have to do that one day, man.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that one. That was really good.
Yeah, Cameron doing the the Dougie.
Yeah, like what you doing?
That dude right there.
What you doing?
Boy, man? Cam is a clown, man. In real life, on TV, on the podcast, dude is a clown, just all around. But so he ends up being in the hospital. So Inez comes and visit him, and you're like, okay, they're building a relationship. They're getting more comfortable with each other. I didn't see the foster parent at all. That's the interesting dynamic, because he was in the hospital pretty much by himself. It seemed like she didn't seem like she was trying to hide that she was there, and even he said it. You know, why is nobody looking for me? And me and my wife were looking at each other, was like, because you black, that's why nobody's looking for you. Which is sad, but also true.
Yeah.
But talk about that for a minute, Wilkes. Did you feel like something was off there, that the foster parent wasn't there?
Yeah, I just thought that they didn't, like he said, like, why is nobody looking for me? But it was kind of like, okay, if he's in the hospital, these reports, you would think they would end up going out. They got to contact somebody next of kin or whatever. And then the guy that came over with the with papers, I don't want to get ahead, but like, come on, man. It's like, what's going on right now? It's like, even the kid was kind of like, even T was kind of like, okay, this is not where I originally was. So what's going on? Like,
what's going on? What's the full?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of it was kind of weird because I was just like, okay, where are we going with this? Because throughout the entire movie, in that one moment, it's like nobody showed up for him, nobody else, somebody, a caseworker,
somebody.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until fast forwarding again, but spoiler alert, but it wasn't until he was 18 till somebody was like, hey,
started putting
this don't match.
Yeah.
This is not adding up on paper. But yeah. So Inez pretty much said, hey, you want to stay with me? And he's like, yeah. And as a kid at that age, we've all been at that age. You just want love, you want a parent, you want somebody that you can trust, that's gonna look out for you, basically, that's gonna feed you and everything. So I mean, he had nothing to lose, and at that age, she was the one that was showing up for him. But it was funny when she brought the bear there, and he was she was like, I don't want this. He was like, fine, go get your own. Hey, she popped off. She definitely had a short temper, a short fuse.
But I forgot. We left out one little fact. She paid off the other kids not to say nothing.
Oh, right. True.
Like,
yeah, with some candy or something. Right. Yeah, I wasn't here. Yeah. But hey, and back to the foster parent thing. At my church I grew up in, there was a lady that had I don't know, I would say at least 7 to 8 foster kids that grew up in her house, that came to the church with, and they've all made out pretty well. So there's different situations, obviously, but she truly loved all those kids. They weren't biologically hers, but she brought them in. And so I think in Terry's situation, though, I don't think he was getting any love at all, because obviously he didn't want to go, he didn't want to be there, and so it was kind of a perfect situation, for Inez to say, all right, let's get out of here. And so they end up not having anywhere to stay. They end up staying with a friend. That situation blew up because
mom wasn't having it.
The mom wasn't having it. The friend, and that was a loyal friend though, because she really, how that situation went down, she really could have been like, I don't want to see you again. I don't want to see your kid again.
She could have blew up the spot.
Yeah, really, she could have called. But I think that goes to the village. That was really T's village, and I think they thought, okay, let's look out for him more so than just being looking out for Inez. But and we talk about that a lot. That family A-Trap. You want to touch on that?
Most definitely, man. And like I stated, we're looking at a situation to whereas it had to be the village, because the mother had every right to be like, kick rocks, and she didn't. I truly respect her mom for being a mother more than a human being at that point, because a human being would have threw her out on her ear. She attacked her, and then you're looking at T. He's displaced. He's lost in the sauce, as they say. And Tiana is just acting in accordance to the environment. Again, she's a product of her environment. So that is one of those situations to whereas that's what's missing in society. Instead of judging the person, you stand up and help them. You do what you can. And you might even make a sacrifice of self for the betterment of the people or the children. So I do believe that's what's missing.
Yeah. And you may be in a better position to offer something to that family or to that kid that the parent currently can't. And I think that's something that we can definitely learn a lot from this film. Definitely, like A-Trap, like you said, not judging just because somebody's in a position. That's like when we see, people that are less fortunate, people that are homeless. Sometimes you think like, why are they in that situation? Why they don't want to take what I'm offering them or whatever it may be. But they all have their own situations and how they got there. I think it's just our job and our opportunity to give and serve. That's what it really comes down to. So the mom of the friend wasn't really having it, but the daughter was convincing. I don't remember her name, but she was convincing enough that she looked out for T, really throughout his life. There was different moments that was his aunt.
At least,
You know, so,
he could kind of fall back on her. And I'm sure as he got older, they definitely talk more.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where that chip on Inez's shoulder continued to get bigger because she didn't think anybody believed in her, and her friend was telling her like, "You're enough." Like, that was a powerful moment. Like, how many times
Yeah.
we have to tell ourselves, if somebody tells us like, "You are enough on your own. You don't have to be what other people want you to be. You are enough." And I felt like that was a powerful statement.
Yeah. In a lot of cases, people project upon others what they see missing in themselves.
Yeah.
You know, this movie had a lot of life lessons.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's go back to Inez and the mom. The mom was was verbally abusive. This was the time, though. That's how we spoke to people at that point.
Yeah.
And she didn't mean to be verbally abusive. She was just, in her mind, she was offering tough love, right?
Right.
She's not talking to Tiana Taylor. She's just telling her what she sees.
Yeah.
Friend was offering the love because that's my friend. We do that. You could be mad as all get out as one of your friends, buddies, homies, what have you, but you're gonna look out. And Tiana is just hurting to the point where I just gotta save this boy.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting. And when anytime somebody push back, Tiana, instead of listening to understand, she lashes out.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot, man. And watching this movie makes me realize how blessed I've been throughout my life. I too get into some ruts at times. I'm silly age route, right? But when and if y'all give me a minute, and it only gonna take a minute. Like when I was y'all know the accident I was in recently. Yeah. Right after I came back from Texas, as a matter of fact, I was in an accident. Yeah. And when I couldn't move, man. I could walk. I could only walk to my bathroom in my apartment and to my bed. And if I sat on the toilet long enough, I couldn't even stand up to pee. If I sat on the toilet long enough, I could muster up enough strength to walk to my couch, right? Yeah. And I can remember those days, and I was sitting on that couch or laying on that couch, really not wanting to move because now it's going to take some mental to get up off that couch. And I can remember sitting there on that couch laying there saying, I'm a good dude, man. I help out people when I can. And I'm going to share this with y'all. I've never shared this with anybody on earth. I remember, actually I shared it with my pastor before. I remember laying on that couch, walking through my life saying, man, God, I'm finally getting back to where I used to be. And Satan is taking this from me. And I walked through my life and told God everything that I was missing. And so watching this movie, seeing Tiana Taylor, I was like, I could totally relate. I didn't have anybody to lash out to because it was just me in that damn apartment. and I remember, man, I was so low at that point. And here's the thing, man. I was doing a forecast with you guys feeling like that. Y'all remember I used to have to move all the time during the forecast. Yeah. And one of the, look, this is how low I was. One of my blessings, and what I drew up as a blessing, I was like, thank God I don't have to go downstairs to pay my rent. I could just walk over to the computer and pay my rent. Yeah. That was a blessing to me because I don't know if I would have had the energy to stand long enough at the elevator, go downstairs, how the elevator stop, mess with my back, man. Right. So one of the blessings was, of course I was thanking God that, y'all remember I had just moved into that joint. Yeah. Yeah. When the forecast started, and what was it, February? Right. So now it's June and I'm incapacitated and I sat there in that apartment and I was like, I literally counted out my money. I was like, okay, I'm thinking maybe I'll be hurt for about 3 months. And when 3 months came, I was like, okay, I could pay my bills for another year. And I was able to pay my bills for another 18 months, thank God. And then, So I can relate to Tiana, like feeling like the whole world is against you and you don't have anyone. So I could definitely relate to that young lady. I had no children. My children at that time, my children were adults. My daughter had just graduated from college, so as my youngest child, I was like, okay, I'm good. But I can definitely relate to just feeling like, oh my God. And and here's the crazy thing: we don't even use the resources we had because I had y'all. I had Big Illinois. Dude, I'm a cat with literally hundreds of people who will call themselves my friends, and none of them ever came. I never told them that I was suffering in silence, and suffering in silence will whip your behind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a scary spot to be in because all it is you and your voices.
Oh,
and your voices a lot of times is wrong.
Yeah,
is left.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that voice in your head or that voice on your shoulder sometimes went right. Hey, but that's a great comparison because she really, and in her situation, she had I think she burned some bridges because you remember she was on the phone. People was like, "Nah, you can't stay here," or "Nah, I'm good." But there was that one friend that really, I think that was really the only friend that was really there. And shout out to Theodora. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, she was really the only one that was in her corner besides Lucky, which we'll get to that in a minute. But I think her attitude probably pushed a lot of people away. And that was possibly the reason why.
Like you said, she lashed out all the time. So it was like, look, I ain't gonna keep dealing with you talking. You got one more time to talk to me like I'm crazy.
Right. And then she pushed the lady.
Yeah, then
she
you
pushed the lady in her house. And her family was like,
said.
"Come on, what's wrong with you?"
That's why I said she was a mother in that moment and not a human. Because a human would have gave her to Uncle Phil.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta go. Yeah.
And she was like, "No, I got it."
Yeah.
But that was her, and in her way, that was her motivating her. But that's the last type of motivation she needed.
Right. Yeah. She needed at the time. Because then, like I said, when they got downstairs, and her friend was like, "Look, you are enough. Don't worry about what my mom says or anybody else says." So she needed kind of that soft approach because I think when you're in a position like that, you're always on guard. You don't know what's coming next.
Right.
It's that survival mode, that fight or flight, that's talked about. Because you don't know what's coming next. You got another mouth you got to feed. You're probably not even worried about your own mouth you're trying to feed. You're worrying more about T's mouth that you're trying to feed. And then you got people you don't know who's looking for you. I mean, there was a lot. That was a lot you had to deal with.
Dodging the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like she sees some people, she see cops across the street. She kind of like, oh, did they ask you a question? Did they say something?
Right.
You know? So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So they found a place to stay. She gets a job cleaning. I think kind of a janitorial service or something like that. So things are starting to rise. You're starting to see her smile. You're starting to see her and Terry, get more and more. Getting more and more comfortable with each other, enjoying each other's, company and everything. And then there was it was a clip that they showed of Giuliani, who's a creepo.
Yeah, in the newspaper.
Man, that dude is just turned out to be. Maybe he was a creepo all along. We just didn't realize.
Pretty sure he was
because of 9/11 and how that happened. But
no, Giuliani got when you were non-New Yorker, 9/11. Propped him up in front of the world. Giuliani
that kind of saved him.
When he incarcerated John Gotti, that's what got him the job.
Yeah.
When he remember, think about it, man. John Gotti, well, y'all a little younger than me. They was calling John Gotti the Teflon Don because they take him to court every couple of years, and it wouldn't stick.
He beat it.
He beat it. So they grabbed.
He was the one. He was the one that got Gotti. But yeah, I was really impressed with the audio because you had the audio, but you were showing the city at the same time, and that's where the kind of, like I said, the art with the music, which was, Wilkes. I know that's. I'm sure you were paying attention to that.
Yes.
Yeah. Just the music went perfect with it. It was poetry in motion, man. I really appreciated it.
it was all captured well. I was amazed by how well they did the mid '90s, late '90s, because later on it went into 2001. But
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the beginning, didn't they show that? I think they even had the Twin Towers in the beginning, didn't they? And then like in 2000, you could see the skyline had changed and the Twin Towers weren't there anymore. So even with that small detail, it was like you knew something had happened, but they didn't have to go into it. But
and I was wondering if they were going to touch on that, because when they went to 2001, I wonder if they were going to tap into that and say, "Hey, this is what happened. This is what's affecting everything."
Yeah, didn't really hear anything,
and they didn't. But if you lived during that time, you knew what happened. So that affected the city majorly.
That affected me majorly.
Yeah,
I was supposed to be in those buildings that day.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, you were saying that.
That was a wild time. I was in. I remember. I think this is one of them things we remember where we were.
Yeah.
When we heard, I was walking home from class, and people were like crying in the streets. I mean, it was, and this is HBCU, so a lot of these parents were, a lot of these kids were New Yorkers. Some of them parents worked in the building. I mean, it was mass hysteria. You didn't really know what was happening. You thought you didn't think maybe it was real, and that was back when. When you flew, your people could meet you all the way at the gate. Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
All the way. There was no. I don't even remember there being any. I'm sure there was TSA, but I don't remember.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. No,
TSA.
Not really. It was just airport security.
You don't have a fight in here. Security.
You just walked all the way through to the gate. Your people were stood there as you came out off the plane.
And matter of fact, to that point, I remember my grandmother. Because I loved airplanes so much, just like most kids like things that take off. He'd take me to the airport, and we at the terminal. He walked the plane, so I already know. That's what I was like.
The airport was almost like a mall. You just came in, and
it was definitely a tourist attraction.
Yeah, and that 9/11 changed everything forever.
Completely.
You'll never meet your family unless it's a kid. Well, not even that. They probably got the attendant. They walk you to the lobby. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that completely changed everything.
You might have some little bitty dynamite on you,
right? There's something in your shoe. Because remember, the dude had a shoe bomb.
Tried to blow his shoes up.
Oh, that's right.
That
might be a shoe, and that was a little bit after 9/11, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was. No, that was about maybe 2 to 3 years after. It was enough distance.
Yeah, okay, that's why I think
it was like affirmation why we needed TSA.
Right. Exactly. And now that's a whole new thing. Now it take you got to get there. It used to be 2 hours. It's still kind of 2 hours, but you better add an extra 30 minutes on there because it's going through checkpoints and all that stuff. But that completely changed the game forever. So Terry is staying at home by himself. He's his mom. They got the place. Which that I feel like that was a really special moment for them, having their own place. But he, staying at home watching cartoons, playing with Legos, just laying on the floor. I remember them days, summertime.
That boy, yeah, man.
Yeah, your mom come in. You ain't did nothing today. Like, nah, I ain't did nothing.
Not really.
Not really.
Eat up this Red Baron pizza, but that's about it.
Right. Eat up this hot pocket, but that's about it.
You better only thing you had to do is make sure the house is clean. You was good.
Yeah, make sure the sink was empty.
Probably sweep the floor. The bathroom better be clean. The garbage better be out.
Right. And I was one of them kids. I ain't gonna lie. I waited till like the last hour to do it all.
Of course. I mean,
you wasn't one of those kids. You were us.
Yeah, of course.
Every male child in America.
And then your mom come home early because she left work early, and now it's too late. Then it's over with. Then.
Yeah,
that's what she like.
I'll tell you something, man. It was the beauty of being the son of the Lord's product, man. Bruh, my mama walked through that door at 4:52 every day.
It wasn't no different. Never changed.
It was not, man. 4:52 p.m. I mean, 5:52 p.m. every day.
Hey, you knew. Yeah.
Looking back, I'm starting to wonder if she was just sitting outside the door like.
Hey, I wouldn't doubt it.
Man, it was clockwork, bro.
Yeah. He ends up going to school, but in order for him to go to school, obviously you need a birth certificate. So she ended up having this guy basically bring her a birth certificate. His name became Daryl. His first name was Daryl. His middle name was Terry. And they basically rode with it. And in my head, I was thinking like, this can't last for that long. But this is the 90s. We didn't have computer systems. We probably had a file folder, and it wasn't checked. You just put it in the folder, and that was it.
Yeah. Don't miss that phone call, and it was up to you to hold on to these papers. What you mean you don't have any documents? I gave them to you last week.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
no patient portal.
Yeah, no signing your kid up for school on the computer or on the internet.
No.
I know how many people. I know they kids like I should have dealt with my child. His birthday was the day after school started, so you had to wait a year in Chicago.
Yeah, no, that's how it was.
DJ got screwed a year out of school like that.
I remember that growing up. That was the thing. I don't know when that stopped, but I remember that.
But man, she got him in school. He was going to school. Wasn't no issues. I mean, he was a kid, had his uniform and all that. He comes home. Inez kind of mentioned Lucky to, I think, her friend. Like, hey, when Lucky's getting out, and she's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna introduce him.
Yeah.
So immediately you're thinking like, all right, this is kid. Well, no, that was not, that was not his kid. Yeah. And he made that very clear. That ain't my kid. So we could be playing family. And that ain't my kid.
She told her friend, she was like, no, it's not Lucky's. She said it's not her father. It's another. Said it was another man before that.
Yeah.
No, you know what tripped me out, man? When she told Terry, she pretty much told Terry she was out in these streets, man.
Yes.
Like, what'd she say?
Like, hey, man, before I had you, my body was the playground for a bunch of men.
It was 1,000 bodies all over me or something like. He's like gross or nasty.
Gross. Yeah, I'm like, man,
that was still young Terry. He was still like 8.
Terry.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't want to hear that. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, she even had the walk down. I was like, man, that was
yeah.
I think she had it.
I think that's a walk, man.
She had the 90s look down with the pager in the little pocket.
Yes, and the
looking at
shorts.
Yeah. It was. They did a hell of a job, especially the cars too.
Yeah.
I always wonder, putting a film together, you got to make the whole film look like the 90s. Like that's not.
Yeah, you gotta.
Easy.
Yeah, I mean, even like if you don't, but I mean the details, the newspapers, the signs in the windows of the bodegas, the it's just like, man, how do they get all this stuff? I'm sure there's places, but still, like you said, I mean, you covering. It's not just set in one spot. I mean, you covering blocks.
You got multiple scenes.
You're moving.
I think they did. I think they may have spliced things from music videos.
Oh, I'm pretty sure with technology today. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
You could probably change the camera setting to make it look.
Oh,
but the cars and there was actually a TV show where I forgot what it was called, but they would get cars. If somebody wanted a car, whatever era, whatever year, these two guys would like find the car somewhere, and they would be like in a ditch or something. They would get it, restore it. Sometimes it was for movies. Sometimes people just wanted this particular car. I think it was on A&E or something like that. But even when you go back and you do a movie from like based in the 50s or 60s,
right?
That means you got to get a bunch of cars from that era. They all got to work.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention if you start involving like transportation, that stuff like trains,
buses.
The buses. I mean, who's donating it? I mean, I know it's in a museum probably somewhere, or somebody's got I've seen warehouses where it's like, oh, this is the movie prop from whatever, and it's like something looks like it's set in the 20s or the 30s, but it's pretty crazy, man. And then you gotta I know, like if you watch the Oscars, you got people making all these costumes and wardrobes, but then it's like, are you finding? Because you're not finding this stuff randomly somewhere. You got somebody,
you got to do some searching. You got to do a search mission, and that could be too why films take obviously a few years really the filming is just one part of it. You got a wardrobe, the setting,
you're telling a
the
story.
editing.
You're trying to capture the imagination, so everything's got to come together.
Right. So Lucky is played by William Catlett, also known as Hirsch from True Story. That's what he'll be known as Hirsch. For me forever. But I like that guy's. He shows some range in this one too. He was still kind of a similar character, calm demeanor. He wasn't really raising his voice. He wasn't very emotional. He was emotional kind of towards the end, but he honestly, was just sitting on the couch and he's like, "How long you gonna be here?" That's what Terry was telling him. Like, he was like, "I ain't having none of this, man. All right, I know my mama." That's the sense I was getting. Like, I know my mama. Like
I'm not.
How long
you
you be here, bro?
Yeah.
But what's really going on? What's the
this ain't working out, man?
Yeah. But you knew they had some history, Inez and Lucky. He was just on the couch, like, yeah, this my girl. This is who I as soon as I got out, this is who I came to.
Yeah.
But I like this guy's demeanor. The two things I've seen him in, we've seen him in. I think he shows a demeanor that I think is well displayed. So big shout out to him.
Yeah.
Lucky and T get to know each other, and I knew it really wasn't his dad, obviously, because they said it, but he kind of took a liking to T. It was like, all right, you really don't have anybody. You don't have a male figure. You got your mom, and I know your mom's is wild. So let me bring some type of male presence and some calmness, right? And Father's Day was just here. So that was not his biological father, but he stepped up into that father role, which I think we've seen this numerous films in our own lives, new family members and stuff like that. So I felt like he really stepped up, and it showed, fatherhood in a good light, and then show him abusing him. I was like, all right, they about to do this, man, it seemed like he abusive or something like that. They didn't go that route.
What I thought.
Yeah, but they showed him in a good light.
I think that was the point, to try to, like, oh Lord, is he gonna like verbally or beat the kid, hit the kid or something? I don't know.
That.
I took pride in that portion as well because, I mentioned this on my show a few times. There's a study in which they say Black men engage 63% more with their children than any other culture. And it just shows, again, it goes back to your premise earlier. The village. Everybody took interest in Terry. His mother's cantankerous. We're going to love Terry. The friend's mother, we're going to love Terry. The best friend, we're going to love Terry. And then let's not forget Tiana, or what, I forgot her name in the movie, Tiana Taylor's character. She had abandonment issues as well. And you can even see that with her friend when it was saying, "I'm going to Clark Atlanta next shit. You gonna leave me too?" So, and her primary interest was the development of Terry. So it made us look like a community, the community that I truly believe we are versus what we are, what is displayed about us.
Yeah, portrayed as. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we look out for each other in that neighborhood, even when fast forward and when Lucky and Inez got married, it was a family affair. They came out there, they had it was more so we're family on this block, we're family in this neighborhood, and we look out for each other. So if Terry doing something, somebody gonna see it, somebody gonna either come and correct him, or somebody gonna bring it to Inez. And that's really what we are as a community. But to your point, A-Trap, it gets misconstrued and it gets displayed as if we don't like each other, we don't get along, and we can't deal with each other. And that's not true in all instances.
Right.
And one more thing, let's not forget, this is at the height of what is known as the crack epidemic.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Right. Which they didn't show that at all. So I appreciated that. They didn't show no crackheads. They didn't show
we got the point.
Yeah, like you know that's what was going on in that era. So they really showed the ins and outs of Inez. They showed all of her good, bad, ugly, but also they showed us in a good light. which I now, as we're talking about it, I appreciated that because they could have showed, the worst of what was going on in that city, but they really didn't. They showed how we stay together, even when our apartment was breaking down. I mean, that stuff was falling apart. They came together. It was like, all right, we just could put these buckets in here, or we could stay here. You can stay over there, whatever it is. They had that support system.
It was beautiful. It was definitely
beautiful. Yeah. So Lucky and T get married. That was I felt like that was a dope moment. And, obviously Terry's thinking like, okay, you can take my mom from me now. Yeah. I just really got her. Like she's really, these past couple of years. But that moment we comes up to him like, we family now. Like I'm gonna look out for you. We could be better off than we ever been. Like that was a huge moment in the film.
Yeah, because he didn't have to do that. I mean, he didn't have to come around at all, or he could have came around that first time and like been out of the scene. Like, man, he was only in there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, he could have just been like, "Yeah, we get married, but I ain't marrying you."
Right.
So yeah, you can, you can be here if you want. And what's portrayed in some films, Inez could have been like, "Well, I got a man now, so I'm gonna put you back in foster care. You're not really mine anyway," which we'll get to that in a minute. Right. But it could have went a different ways with that. But they were like, "No, we gonna show a family unit." And even they said it. We playing family. They laughed about it. Like we two crooks being a family. Like we don't know how to be a family, but they did the best they could.
Don't make it work.
They did the best they could. Go ahead.
No, I'll say, yeah, man, it was beautiful, man. I was just agreeing. I was just like basically 10-4 in what y'all was saying.
Yeah, it was black art. I mean, like this was really black art at its finest, showing us, not showing, not showing not showing the great white hope that came in and saved the day, but really showing us figuring out how to make it work. And that goes to, and fast forward 2021, the news stories playing. And that was teenage Terry kind of coming on the scene. So they showing him, and he was smart, gifted. The teacher couldn't believe it. Like, oh, normally, kids like you aren't smart or aren't gifted. Like, yeah, that part made me want to slap her in the mouth.
Of course, it was the typical, I don't really understand who you are as a young man. I don't really understand your culture, your background. All I know is you show up every day and I'm trying to teach you something. Right. But man, you surprised me by being really intellectual and attentive. It was like, come on, stop.
Yeah. And really, and Inez matured because, the past couple of years ago, she would have went off. Yeah. It would have been some furniture moving around.
Right.
That's how that would have went. But she just laid back, like, okay.
He probably said, "Hey, mom, chill out on this one, okay?
Don't embarrass me, Bob. Yeah. Come on, don't embarrass me.
Chill out."
But, yeah, that was atypical. It's one of the things that I speak about on the show frequently. Why we need black administrators, we need black teachers, we need black doctors, because we can speak to each other in our own black dialect, or we see each other as human beings. Not that other cultures can't, but let's just be honest, man. We're brainwashed about white people. You ask a black person about a white person, you're gonna say they can't dance, they walk like this. We got stereotypes, and then everybody has stereotypes about. You meet an Asian kid who's not good at math, you're gonna think, what's wrong with you, man?
Right.
So like if they fail in a class, you like, dang.
It's like saying every Asian person doesn't know martial arts.
Right. So
gonna need you to stop.
They are good at science and math.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things, and this was a perfect example of how we must engage on all levels, because in order to get the best out of whatever the situation is, you must see that individual as a human being, not as a black child from the ghetto.
Yeah,
you must see them as a human being.
Right.
But
exactly.
people
because it was almost like to the point of amazement that, oh wow, maybe you have been paying attention in class. But like I said, and to Ben's point, They didn't show the drug epidemic. They didn't show, oh, he's having issues in class. Right. He's getting kicked out. He's skipping school. You know, he didn't turn into a troublesome kid. You know, typical teenage brain. You know, he's gonna have a few words and say some things and do some things, but yeah, it was like the teacher like lighten up, man. Like he was like, calm down. Like you need some help.
Like, yeah, he is smart. Right. Yeah, he is gifted, and thank you for the information. Now we about to get out of here.
And but here's the interesting thing, though, which I noticed, which we probably didn't even really. I have to say I didn't in the '90s, but then I should know better because you had a Different World and the Cosby Show. But she's pushing Harvard and MIT. It's like, why are you not pushing? But then why you? But then I guess they can't really push a HBCU. But you kind of like
probably didn't even know about it.
Right? Exactly. It's the '90s. You know, those weren't really the colleges that they were pushing at the time.
No, they wasn't. Not at all.
No, not at all.
You might get it from a different world, but you didn't get.
But you didn't get it from the real world.
Right.
In the real world, it was like.
It was like they weren't even up to snuff to compare to the MITs and to the Harvards.
Yeah. They wouldn't talk about that.
Yeah. But I think the positive point from that is that the teacher did offer and say, hey, you should look at Tech. You should look at one of these other schools because he is so above this school, he doesn't need to be here. And so that was a proud moment for Inez, because obviously she was very hard on him for a lot of reasons, but very hard on him. He's a black young man. He's, you know, he doesn't. She wasn't 100%.
Well, even his girlfriend or even that girl he was interested in, she was telling him like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing here?
Stop."
And so that goes back to that support system that Terry had. He was on the fence, and then that goes back to Lucky. You know, he happened to run into each other, you know, at the park, and he's like, you know, I don't know what to do. Should I go? And I think that was another one of those lesson moments. Like, I can't tell you what to do. You got to make the decision on your own.
Right.
But I can tell you what this opportunity is and what it could be for you. But I'm not gonna make the decision.
Even before that, you know, like Lucky was telling, he's like, but you're always yelling at it. It's like, maybe if you lower your voice and come at him differently, because I don't think I ever really saw T in the entire time. He never really got uncool, I guess. Like, he was always kind of quiet. Yeah. He may have smarted off teenage brain, but you know, whatever. But other than that, he was kind of laid back. It was kind of like, hey, you just talk to me like I'm sensible. Right. And I won't shut down on you.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the beginning. Like, he said it towards the end. He was like, what I wanted more than a mother was a father.
Yeah.
He wanted both parents. I think he knew that, you know, his mom was there for him. Yeah. But sometimes it is your approach.
Hey, you know what? It is something that I've said for years. You know, I've been blessed in my life to have an awesome mother who, she wasn't my father. I hate when people say she was my mother and my father. My mother was my mother. Right. My mother was my mother 100%. She was never my father.
Right. She couldn't be.
Go ahead.
No, I said she couldn't be.
Right. She couldn't be. Yeah. But one of the beautiful things about, you know, when you watch it, see, this what makes this movie so great. It shows you the balance that you need.
Yeah.
Tiana Taylor was on 8.8 every day, all day. She was ready to go. She was locked and loaded. And if you notice, Lucky was the polar opposite.
Yeah.
And you meet somewhere in the middle and love T. Because they kept calling him soft. Well, Tiana just kept calling him soft. But he wasn't soft. Lucky understood. He ain't soft. He's just cool.
Yeah.
Remember, they had that conversation, and that's what's missing. That's why even the prudes, or I want to call them prudes, the conservatives. That's why I will agree with the conservatives in regards to having let's not forget the conservatives. This is where God talks about equally yoked.
Yeah.
I can love you like I can love you and you be a person on 8.8 every day because I'm loving you, not your personality.
Yeah.
And I can be on 2.3.
Right.
But as an adult man, we all know that seesaw can change. And you know, it's a lot, and this helps you understand just looking at it from the woman's perspective. I have a child. I have to feed him. I have to love him. I have to make sure the world don't try to kill him. Giuliani got these dogs jumping out these cars on these boys, so I'm scared at all times.
Yeah.
And I still got to pour into him. And then you go the other direction. The man don't want you.
It's good. It's good. His gift.
What's up, P? The man has the other perspective. I have to take care of this woman. She's on 10. She's close to 10 at all times.
Yeah.
I can't be on 10 because when she pop off, people gonna say, crazy black woman. If I pop off, they're gonna shoot me.
Right.
Man. And you only learn that with age. If you ever listen, like me and my son used to do a podcast, and we talk about my flaws in parenting all the time because I grew up up until I didn't come out of my Napoleon complex until I was almost 30 because I was always the shortest guy. And bruh, it took me till I was 26 years old to realize I'm 5'10". I'm standing next to my mom one day. My mom 5'7", 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
She was making me something to eat. And she asked me to get her something from the refrigerator. And it was one of those things. You ever looked at, Wilk's gonna know this. You ever looked in the refrigerator and looked right at something and didn't see it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
She was like, get the carnation milk out.
I'm like, it's right there in your face.
Right. It was front and center.
Yeah.
And she bent over and got it. And I saw
trust
gray hair. I said, Mom, you got great hair. She said, I raised you. Of course I have great hair.
What you expect?
And she stood up. And I was like, well, I know that never. I'm looking at the top of her head going, I never noticed you had great hair.
Yeah.
Well,
and
because her personality was probably 7 feet tall.
Right. Right. She was a giant to me in my mind.
Yeah.
And I went and laid down in what I said, man, you kept my room the way it was. She's like, no, I kept my room the way it was.
Right. Correction.
She corrected me. And I was like, yeah, you kept my trophy. She said, no, I paid for those trophies.
Right. I kept my trophies.
And I'm laying in the bed and I went, that was the top of her head. And I jumped up and stood next to her. I was like, I'm taller than you. She's like, you've been taller. I'm literally 2 weeks from turning 26. Yeah. So it just shows you, man, the pressure that is on a parent. We take it for granted because we sitting here like me and Wilkes. Like Wilkes got a child before his marriage, right? And so you just live it naturally, Ben.
Right.
But me and Wilkes, like Wilkes had a kid relatively young, and I had a child relatively young, and we had to grow into it.
Oh man! At 24,
I was 23. I was 23. I had just turned 23, and then BJ showed up the next month, August 6th, September 9th.
Yeah,
and it was like,
you don't know anything. You learn it. That's on the job training right there.
Right. Absolutely.
You learn a trial and error. Yeah.
Yes.
So man, I was watching this movie. It was like my mom. Because my mom was tough, man. My mom was a drill sergeant. I got uncles who's 6'6", and one time I jokingly called my mom by her nickname. I was like, her nickname used to be Pumpy. And I got to our family gathering early. I was like, hey, where Pumpy at? And they were like, oh, hey, don't call your mama that.
They all like, where's she at?
They looked around, hey, man, don't call your mama that. I'm like, hey.
And they all ducking down like, hold on.
Yeah, something could fly through the air.
The whole room I'm talking about. And I had my uncles with some super thugs, man. And they were like, hold on. I'm like, hey. And I'm talking trash. I'm like, man, I'm grown. I can say what I want to say. And she walked up behind me and the room got quiet. I said, yeah, just let me know where my mama at. She said, I heard you.
Yeah.
So, it's just, man, this is a beautiful story, man. I mean.
Yeah, it was done very well. I mean, like I said, Tiana Taylor. I mean, I felt like, man, is she even really acting? It seemed so effortless for her.
It seemed easy.
Yeah.
It seemed like this was her personality.
You know what I thought about during this? Y'all gonna laugh at this. And the people who've watched the show in the past, so y'all gonna laugh. I was sitting there going, see, this is how Mary J. Blige needs to be acting on Power. Because this is a girl from Harlem acting like a girl from Harlem.
Right.
Mary J. is a New York chick overacting. I'm like, Mary.
And she's overacting. Yeah, I was like, what?
That's like
what's
that girl's name? She's always over the top. Keke Palmer. Anything she's in, it's like you don't have to do that. Right. You're a good actor,
but in her mind,
you gotta go over the top. I mean, but
if Keke was ugly, she'd be unemployed. If she was an average-looking chick, she'd be working at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, man. She did the family video, man.
Yeah.
Hollywood video, yeah.
She's getting better, but you'd be like, hey, Keke, you better stick to comedy.
Yeah, it was. Stop. You need to
stop.
Calm down. Yeah. So did y'all peep the Averex jacket?
Yes.
Man, I remember that in the source. I wanted one of those.
I was like, they were reaching back for that one.
But them things was like,
that's somebody's jacket, man. That's somebody else's jacket.
Yeah, that was somebody's jacket.
They pulled that out of somebody's closet.
Somebody brought that on the set, like, hey, y'all should use this.
That's got the name inside the tag, man.
Right. But that was perfect. And
he had the right amount of dirt on it, too.
Yeah,
it was perfect. That was perfect for that era. They end up getting into it to our point. They end up getting into a fight, Inez ended up pushing him, and he could have matched her energy, but he just walked out like, look, I don't have to deal with this. And on his way out, he's like, Terry, take care of your moms.
Right.
And it was kind of at that moment where they split and they went there. You know, Terry went his separate way. He came around, obviously, but he wasn't staying there no more. And Terry, going back to that abandonment issue, he's like, so he's talking to his mom, like, so y'all not together, so you're not staying here.
Right.
Like and he didn't really say it, but he was saying, I need Lucky to be here because I need his presence. This as much as I need yours, I need his. Because Terry was at a 3 the whole movie. Like he
didn't go above that.
The
only time he really got turned up is when they showed up to the apartment. But other than that, he was kind of like
Right. Shout out to Rhonda. Thank you for tuning in.
Good, Ron.
Just shaking my head. But man, Terry Lucky was the same. And they honestly needed each other, which I think Lucky said, Inez said that towards the end, like, I felt like you needed me, but I really needed you. Mm-hmm. And I think in order for Lucky probably to slow down, he probably needed Terry, or else, he could have been back in jail, which I don't know. They never really talked about what he was doing outside. I'm assuming he was working, but who knows? He could have been back in jail.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man. The man just got out of jail. We know what he was doing outside.
Yeah. Checking on them plugs, man.
Hey, he just got outside and had a motorcycle.
Right. And an Averex jacket, and he had some bling on too.
With the name Averex on the helmet.
Averex jacket, and he had a motorcycle in New York.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Come on,
nobody tried to take it. In the hood. Come on, man.
Yeah. But that was and again, man, think like you have to think about when we were watching this, the time period. It was okay to slap a woman back then. I'm not saying it was cool, but nobody was frowning upon you. You wasn't a villain if you hit your woman.
Right. So Ike and Tina are a prime example. Yeah.
Right.
Ike and Tina is a prime example.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
True.
That was right around the OJ.
Because it was one of those, because it was one of those things where it didn't go beyond that. But I promise you, when he got home, they had that conversation.
Yeah.
Or he was gone, because you ain't gonna hit me again, Negro.
Right. Right. Then we really about to go to blows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think he knew he knew she was that way, and he still loved her regardless, even though they weren't in the same house. He still loved her, but he just couldn't stay in the same house with her because
because like he said,
he was her personality.
He even in his quiet voice, he was asking her like, you just talk up to him all the time. Like if you just lower your voice,
right?
You know, it's like you're always yelling at him. You know, you talk loud all the time, but then of course, now here's that that self-consciousness. She's thinking, oh, you're trying to shut me up. Oh, what you say? I'm not stacking up. I'm not adding up.
Right.
Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. But you don't have to always be on a 10.
Right.
It's like, just bring it down 1,000.
You can bring it down. You can bring it down to a 7.
Right.
A manageable 6.5. You can do a 6.5. You bring it down that little bit. And I wonder how she was at work. I mean, they didn't really go to her job or whatever, but
I'm pretty
sure she had that job. So
pretty sure she got ridden up a few times. Pretty sure.
Probably.
You know what, though? I don't know. You know, people will be. If you get a chance, look up the conversation between what's her name? Is James Baldwin and
that YouTube clip.
I can't think of her name. She's a poet.
Yeah, I can't think of that name. Because isn't she like she's asking him to do something?
Yeah, he was like, I can't lie to you. She was like, no, lie to me.
Right.
You smiling and skin and grin in the face of the white man.
Oh yeah.
So smile at me just like you smile at the white man. Live a lie with me, cause I deal with you.
It's about 52 minutes, about an hour. I thought.
Yes, about an hour.
Yeah, we seen that in something we watched recently.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
Can't think of her name because she just turned happy birthday. She just turned 83 2 Fridays ago. Can't think of her name though.
Yeah, I couldn't remember that.
Yeah, I remember the clip, but I can't think of it.
But also, you know, as a culture, we will come home and act a complete buffoon with our significant other.
Yeah.
Right.
Then be at work.
Right.
And again, and dancing and smiling. Yeah. What you need from it today. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, that's real though.
Like that Dave Chappelle clip. Chicken.
Man, that's one of them real like talk things that we really gotta
Nikki Giovanni.
with. Oh, Nikki Giovanni.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. That's one of the things we got to really be real about. Because, yeah, we will talk to our wives and our kids. I think it's because we think, well, you're going to be here regardless. And that ain't the right approach, but I think that's the thought behind it. But that's a really good point. Like, I got to deal with you every day, all day.
You off or she piss you off.
Right.
You come home and act a fool with me.
Blow up. Right. Exactly. But you're not gonna do that at the job because you know you can lose that job.
Right. Lose.
Right.
And that might be the case. We will abuse the ones we love because hey man, again, man, I used to be because I was a horrible listener. I used to be the pop off key, man. I was as my mother would say, I was a zip damn fool when I was between about 16 and about 28. I was ready to go. I was what? It was
that was Inez. She was on 10. It didn't matter who it was.
Don't come at me sideways now.
Right. And especially if it was something about Terry, she was.
Well, she even told him she was. I mean, even when she was telling him, like, I go to bat for you. I'll go to war for you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he really understood that because that was young Terry at that moment. Yeah.
But yeah. So they fast forward. So we got into tech. I'm assuming that was probably ninth grade because they fast forward 4 more years, getting ready to graduate. But Lucky is in the hospital. So that changes he wasn't staying there, but he was still coming in and out. He was definitely encouraging Terry whenever that they interacted with each other. So that kind of took him away, his mom away. And so and I don't know, I'm assuming Terry, probably came up there. They didn't really show it, but I'm assuming he knew obviously what was going on, but that kind of broke down their dynamic, and he was really the man of the household. So when something was, and that's when he had to find the birth certificate, what it was thought the birth certificate.
Yeah.
And he obviously knew where it was. Now I don't know, because it seemed like he went straight to it, and it seemed like he was really searching a lot.
Yeah, they probably.
I know it was a small apartment too,
Yeah.
so it's not like they had,
Yeah,
like
it didn't have a wing.
Right, they have like a storage closet or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and that was around the same time that, man, they clearly showed it. They were gentrifying Harlem. So they were basically pushing people out across the street, and she knew it. She kind of had a sense like, all right, they're about to come over here. And the dude comes in there at first and is like, yeah, this really is broken down. We got to come in here and we got to redo it. I'm like,
here we go.
I'm like old school in the movies, like, don't do it. Okay. They're not about to look out for you.
Right.
This is more so of.
But he even told her, he's like, well, then maybe you'd have to find somewhere else. Like, he was getting frustrated at first. It was like,
yeah.
I think that was game. His
Yeah.
original plan was to move her out.
Oh, yeah.
That was the nicest way he could put her out.
Yeah.
Because either you got to go and find someplace else and then come back and pay this high rent that I'm gonna be charging.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, get out now.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's up to you.
Yeah,
and you basically living in a that place was not livable. They didn't have They didn't have a shower. They didn't have an oven. I mean,
they didn't have a door on the oven, so you can turn on the oven, but you can't get out the stuff that's in there.
Yeah, right.
And then she pushed him into the oven, and then the thing
broke off. Handle broke. Yeah.
Or you got to use something to get it open and close it.
Then the sheetrock fell because it was leaking. The water was coming out.
Right. And I think she didn't really fully push the issue. I mean, she could have, but I think she was still thinking like, the cover could be blown, or Terry can end up going to foster care. I can end up going to jail. So like, she just kind of let it be.
Right.
And Terry's sitting on the couch like, man, you just let that slide.
Yeah.
You
should have popped off.
Yeah, at that moment, my mom definitely would have choked me and pulled me off the couch. Like, you don't really know what's going on here. But he was picking a college, trying to figure out where he wanted to go. And that was a great moment, too, because from the beginning of this story to now, he really lived above where he was supposed to be by the standards of the community, or of the standards of the stereotype.
Yeah.
Fellas been tuned in, but was watching on the big screen. All right, cool. Appreciate you. Regular noise. But I felt like that was a huge moment to be able to go from where he was to that moment. And really would have been the first in his family to go to college. So which they didn't really touch on that, but
we don't know.
You knew. Yeah,
speaking of family.
Yeah. Speaking of that. But talk about that, A-Trap.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful situation, and again, it goes back to the love aspect that women have to deal with. They have to sacrifice. This is the walk through life for a mother. Even though Tiana in this movie didn't go through it, you have to sacrifice your body to bring this person in the world. Then you got to sacrifice your time and your peace of mind, because most of us ain't getting up in the middle of the night to feed the baby. Baby start crying. And even if we do it, they up before us. That's like a 20-second time out for them. Like, I got it. Because now you feeling bad because she done got up 3 times. And I do it. Now you feeling bad. So, I recently told somebody this. I said, you should pour into your woman, because, you should ring your woman out. I say, because, as let's say, like you, Ben, I forgot your Erica, right?
Yeah, Erica, yeah.
You pour into Erica, Ari pours into Erica. If she has siblings, they're pouring into Erica. Her parents are pouring into her, and nobody ever rings them out. And that's in short. Women need to be wrung out. So if your old lady, that's why people like a man like Lucky can look at a person who's on 10 all the time and go, I really want to pop you in your mouth, but I'm gonna let that slide because I know who you are. I know you're a good person on the inside.
Right.
I know what you dealing with.
Measure it.
Right.
So yeah. And just think about that. you a person with abandonment issues, because she displayed the abandonment issues when her best
the
friend was
entire
in North Carolina.
Yeah.
You struggling with this boy, but now you got to let him go away.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, man, I remember when I went away, man. Big and Lawyer laugh about this. You know, I had dropped out of school, man. I'm frustrated with college, and I had signed up for the Navy because my pops was in the Navy. And I was going this is the only time I seen my mom get emotional, like in my life. I walked out the door to go to the Navy. I was going to go to the MEP Center, and my mom she struck a tear, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I had told Big Illinois, "I'm coming back. I ain't going. I'm coming back." I went to the MEPs and got out the gym and came back home. Man. So I told Big Illinois them, I say, "Hey, man, I'm coming back." Him and my man Drasty. I say, "I ain't going to this thing." And they say, "Man, you signed up." I said, "I'm getting out of this," and I got out of it. Yeah. And went back and put myself into debt for student loans.
Right, with the boys around, yeah. But to this day.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not to this day. I pulled it off, but yeah. They've been bleeding me slowly.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But it just shows the beauty in motherhood, man. I got a question for you guys. I saw this as a black exploitation movie, but not in the negative sense. What do y'all think about that?
Go ahead, Wilkes.
I could see that. I could see where he's coming from with that, because it was more the sense of, oh, here we go again. We in New York, we in the Bronx, we in Harlem, whatever. We struggling, we frustrated, or is it gonna take? And then like with T, we didn't know, like, what turn is it gonna take? He gonna be trouble in school.
Right.
Sports gonna be his way out. That kind of thing. Is the mom gonna fall back? She gonna end up going missing for a few months or something. But it was in a good light of, this is the struggles. We gonna stand up to it every time. We gotta lose some things to gain something. I definitely.
I saw it as a new age Claudine.
Yeah. I can see that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a good point.
I can see that. Like you said, we're not all, especially in that sense, and outside of that, is like, we're not gonna be a perfect family. I think that's what they were always trying to push in TV back in the day. Little House on the Prairie. Good Times.
All in the Family.
All in the Family. Yeah, it was never like the Dynasty in Dallas didn't come along to the 70s and 80s. So.
Yeah. They wanted to push the 2 kids and a dog and the picket fence. That's what they really wanted.
Yeah, they were pushing them struggles, man. Because but like A-Trap was saying, especially with All in the Family and the Jeffersons and those times. You're pulling from those times and from the headlines and from what's happening. It's like, this is going on. We're making light of it, but when we really get down to brass and tacks, hey, some people being engulfed, some people fall into the waste, some people surviving, some people not.
Yeah, some people drowning.
This is definitely this movie was definitely that. I can see that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you guys. I think it is. It showed us dealing and overcoming the struggle, and we've seen films, like this before. Yeah. I think this had a little bit of a different.
I also noticed they didn't get wrapped up in the flashy things. Having the Benz back then.
Yeah, right.
And
BBS.
You got the Mercedes leather hat on, and got the chain. They didn't really get into that. They didn't really show any of that. They didn't really talk about any of that. It was just, this is every day. This is how we live. It's like
it was living
with no posters on the wall, no fancy girls in cars.
Right. It was surviving.
Right.
Surviving and
just getting by.
Surviving it. And getting through it the best way you can.
Right.
Living life on life terms.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a great point. That's a great point, A-Trap. But and yeah, they were right at that point, like I mentioned, gentrifying Harlem, trying to get everybody out, so then they could bring in, what they wanted to see, and the first Whole Foods and at Harlem, the first Starbucks and Harlem, all that.
Yeah,
I mean, that was kind of what it was.
It's over when they bring Starbucks into the hood.
Yeah.
If they bring Starbucks
$9 for coffee, we got
over.
to move.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah. But the one they had, Wilkes, the one they had off of, what was that, Copper Hill and Westmoreland?
Oh God,
that one didn't make it. So they tried.
They tried.
From Redbird, they tried with that one.
I was like,
sometimes you may try it, but
when I saw them putting that up, I was like, man, that may not make it. I don't know. It's bad when you can just drive to the airport. Like, I don't know about that one.
That ain't gonna make it.
I thought it was gonna be like that here in Chicago. It's on 63rd and Halsted. They threw up a Whole Food, a Starbucks, and a Chipotle. I drove past like, nope, that joker's still there.
I can't believe it. Yeah,
I'm like, the Chipotle,
Hey, bro,
it's amazing.
If y'all knew where 63rd and Halsted was, put it like this: 63rd and Halsted, not for real, but it is the proverbial place where Mad Dog shot JJ.
There we go.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Hey, boy, the rats over there gang banging, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they got Crips and blood rats out there, man.
Right. Yeah, I can believe it.
Telling you, man, anybody in Chicago that's in the chat room,
I can believe it.
You could have, like my grandfather used to say, I bet you $100 to a bucket of piss, and I fill the bucket halfway up. That ain't gonna be there, and that place is this.
Because it's just like that ain't gonna make it, man.
Ain't gonna make it.
But it's there.
That's the blueprint, though. The Whole Foods, the Starbucks, and a Chipotle.
Yeah, and you know it's bad when they shut down a Walmart.
Oh yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. They shut down several Walmarts in Chicago, but right there on 63rd and Halsted,
right there.
Like, man, they shut down the Walmart.
It's baffling. You drive through 63rd and Halsted. What they doing now? And it's there, man. It's been there like 5 years. I'm like, that's gonna last about 90 days.
90 days.
Oh yeah. Hey,
it's gonna be boarded up.
Some places like that here in South Dallas, man. You be like, nah, man. Not at Al Lipscomb. That ain't gonna stay there long. Al Lipscomb and Malcolm X now, man.
That ain't gonna last.
Inglewood.
When I come back here in a month, it ain't gonna last.
Yeah, man. They go. Oh, especially when they put a Bank of America in the hood. I'm like,
it's over.
Put a bank on the corner.
Yeah. What's up, Keisha? Thank you for tuning in.
Like, nah. I know they didn't put a bank in the hood. Like, no.
Right, exactly. Not a B of A. That's what
it's over.
Fifth Third.
Yeah.
Like, what?
You like, yo, it's over.
Yeah.
Head for the hills.
Yes. So Lucky is getting worse. He ends up passing away. And that's when things really started to unravel because both of them needed Lucky. Yeah. I don't think Inez knew that she was more so. It was hard for her to love, period. So, but she was there for him, man, till his dying
demise.
Day. I mean, and they didn't know how to communicate the love either, but they knew that they loved each other. Because he was like, I think he said, why you love me? She was like, why everybody else love you? I mean, that's the same thing. He was like, nah, I'm not. I said, why do you love me? And she never really answered it, but I felt like that was Black love displayed on film. So I mean, they definitely broke it down.
That's a trick question, man.
That's a trick question.
That's a trick. Like,
people want to know. People want to hear it, though.
I just do. I don't think you can explain it. Can you explain it?
I don't think it. I think you can explain it to a point, but then again, you still can't find the. You can do enough.
It's hard to break it all the way down in words.
Right. Yeah.
But
it's just you do.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, you try to you're trying to find the words to build off of, but
Yeah, that was a sucker question, man. I
It
mean,
can keep going.
especially from a cat.
Yeah, it can keep going, man.
Nah, man.
Yeah, he was about to go, man. He was in his feelings.
Hey, man,
Gotta
go
give
ahead,
him some
croak, man.
Yeah, man. Wrap it up,
I
man.
mean, she's
Wrap
sitting
it up,
in this
man.
room. She's sitting in this room with you when you about to check out, man. Every day, balled up in the chair.
Right. Time to go, man.
Right. Yeah. I was
Sleep
like,
can't be that good.
But I guess, I mean, I ain't never been close to dying.
Yeah,
So I don't know what goes through your head when you about to die.
we're really. You probably got asked a lot of
I'm
questions.
like, yo.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like, man, bro. Because then now, well, which they didn't get into that, but then it's like, well, who paid for it? Because now the medical bill is gonna pile up. You know, it's just, but they didn't get all into that. But they didn't have time to. But it's just kind of like, who's covering all this? But you know, whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So
apparently nobody. She didn't stick around.
Yeah, apparently, she was out.
See ya.
So
I ain't sick. I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'll see y'all later.
Right.
So Terry ends up going through the college process, and I think that was the counselor or someone kind of says, "All right, we need your birth certificate." So all right, he brings it, and then it's like, something
add up.
I'm not adding up here. This is not. You know, is this the official document?
I'm not finding you in the system. What
hey, yeah. What was that again? It was Daryl.
Can you spell that for me?
Spell that for me. Yeah. Can you
TERRY?
Spell that out? Yeah. But yeah, that's when he got a little. He was probably at a 5.
Right.
She was trying to call him. He was like, "No, hold on, you had to call nobody."
Yeah, I'm going through my stuff.
I'm almost 18. You know what I mean? Like, it don't matter now. But she was like, "I got to report this because I'm a social worker," and so I didn't know where they were going with this. So let's ask this question: where do you think this was going after that situation happened at school? Where did y'all think it was going?
I had no idea.
Because at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I was still thinking she was his mother.
Yeah, me too.
I thought even when she saw him on the street,
he was gonna get into a world of trouble for abducting him, but I thought it was going to end kind of like with John Q. Remember, Denzel had put the world through that whole thing. Denzel do 2-3 years because they saying, so I thought it was going to be a situation whereas they are going to look at how well developed Terry was and say, hey, whatever made us take him from you, clearly you fixed that. Yeah. And he was on his way to college. She'd got a slap on the wrist. Happily ever after. That's what I thought was coming. And I want to bring at the Wilkes. I want to bring up another point to y'all. I really appreciated this one point from what's this woman name, man? We keep calling her our real name, but what was her name in the movie?
Inez.
Yeah. Okay, but I want to ask y'all about how I thought this was super duper dope about Inez. But go ahead, Wilkes.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect from it because I was like, "Oh hell, the social security number don't work." I was like, "What's going on?"
And then, now,
yeah, and then who's this guy coming over with this paperwork? Like, it looks legit, and he's sitting there, and Terry's kind of like, "Okay, there must be a mistake, a mix-up or something,"
right?
So yeah, I didn't expect it to go the way it went. Because I maybe I missed it. I didn't see any signs at first, but then they were talking about, well, did Lucky know? Like, was Lucky in on it? I was like, well, dang. I was like, when they slipped that in there. So, I didn't know what to expect. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I just figured it was going to come out that, hey, I kidnapped you, basically. And now, everything's coming to a head because we don't add up on paper. But I did not think it was going to go where
daylight on the street.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, and nobody was looking for him. Like this was we now like what 14?
Like how the foster parents got arrested. Like
we like 10 years later, and he just basically living his life. They all living their lives. She goes to work.
None of the newspapers.
She's not using her fake
name. Don't play on a milk card or nothing.
Yeah,
right. Nah, it's not nothing like that.
Because this was milk card in time.
Right, exactly.
Especially the kids that she paid off. I didn't come around here. Y'all didn't see me.
Right.
You're right. That's why I just knew it was, so I thought it was a connection. This was dope the way it ended.
Yeah.
I want to shout out to Inez, man. What I really gave her props for was the fact that her husband was leaving for 3 to 4 weeks at a time, going to live with his baby mama and his daughter.
Wow.
And at the memorial, she welcomed them.
Yeah.
As the character Inez, that is growth. That's growth from California to the Atlantic Ocean.
Right. Yeah.
That's a piece for that.
Yeah.
She did it without even thinking.
Yeah. It wasn't even a second thought. And she was like, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, that was
like, old school.
That's your big mama now.
Right. This ain't your business, but we'll talk about it.
Right.
And I think it was just at that point, like, what difference would it make for me to come at her all sideways when I knew?
I mean,
and she called him out. She called him out on it. She was like, I know you was looking at her. Like, I know you you like her more than me. I mean, they already had
they already had the foundation laid for that.
Right, exactly. Now, I didn't know he had a kid with her, but hey, it's like, look, they family. We all on the same block. We all family.
Yeah.
So then they end up having the social worker, the one from the school, and then they had another social worker, and then they had 2 officers. I'm like, you need all that,
right?
To
break the news
over here. Yeah. And so Moms was gone. I think she knew, like, all right, everything is coming to a close. I need to not be here during this time because I'm about to go to jail.
I'm finna go.
I need to skip out.
So Terry's all like, I don't know. He obviously he didn't know where this was going. He just figured, all right, they found out I'm about to go to college, so none of this really matters at this point.
Yeah.
But when they break the news and say that Inez is not your mom, and he's like, whoa, that don't add up at all because she is my mom. She's been my mom,
like,
all this time. So that didn't add up at all.
Not quite.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And so she comes back while he's there. Actually got with his aunt, and they basically going back to the house to get some stuff. He was like, "Mom, what's going on? Like, first of all, where was you at?
Right.
Like, where was you at a couple hours ago? And then, like, let's talk about this. Like, you can't just bounce and not tell me." So they finally get into it, and Inez was actually the one that found Terry on the corner. Because remember, wind back, he asked, like, "You left me on the corner? Is that what you did to me?" And she was like, "Don't ever say that." And she never really addressed it until that moment, and they really had that. Let's just lay it out on the table. No, I'm not your mom, but I took care of you.
Right.
So
man,
that was
that was crazy.
That was powerful. That was 2 people taking care of him that wasn't even related to him, wasn't his biological parents.
And nobody still is not looking for him.
Nobody. Like, he about to go to college, and nobody came to the door.
Right.
And nothing.
Like, come on, man. What's going on here, man?
And where they left Brooklyn and they moved to Harlem, right? Is that what it was? Is that where they started off at?
I think so.
They
didn't really say it a lot.
I don't know. It was always in Harlem, I was assuming. Because remember,
they moved from somewhere.
Just remember, at one point, she was like, "I'm gonna take you to where I grew up at."
Right.
And if they were, I don't know what direction they was coming from, but
they didn't really get
Brooklyn
into.
Brooklyn is South New York, and Harlem is 110th Street on up. Once you literally walk into Harlem when you leave in Central Park.
Okay.
Like, Harlem is like Central Park is the 108th Street, 110th Street is Harlem. You walk out of Central Park, across the street, you on Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard, and you in Harlem. So it's and people think Harlem is a borough. Harlem is a neighborhood. It's not a borough. Yeah. Harlem is North Manhattan. So it's not. It's a community. It's not a borough.
Right.
And like
this. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just like,
this ending made me think of The Harder They Fall. Because remember, you got to the end, and it was like, yeah, we brothers. Like, I'm the one that came in there to kill our dad.
Right.
And so this was kind of like a bombshell. Like, I was not at all expecting it to go this way. So this was really, I mean, it was the cinematography with the black love and the art of this film. And then it gets to the end, and you're just like, wow, she went all out for this kid. And she really didn't have to. And she said she stayed on the corner with him for hours.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, like, they never really like went into who he, like, how long she'd been watching him, and how long she had seen him, and it was like, man, what's going on here? Like, what?
This was such a great plot twist. I literally, because fun fact about HREF. If I'm sitting still too long, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
It has to be, I have to be engaged or I'm going down. I'm like,
yeah.
If I get a chance to do this, that means I'm going to sleep.
It's over with.
So I'm watching this movie, and that plot twist, it hit us real fast. Like, pow!
Yeah. It was no lead in. It was just like, man.
No lead in, right?
Like, oh, hey, here you go.
I was sitting there watching. I say, damn, I dozed off.
Man.
I rewound the movie.
I had to rewind it. I had to rewind it all the way back.
Like, oh damn, I dozed off.
Did I miss something? I had to rewind it back to the social worker. I had to go back.
Right. I was like, hold on, what is she
like? Wait a minute, what conversation is this?
Hey man, I thought I dozed off. I'm like, damn, I done dozed off again.
Yeah, I was like, man, I done missed all this. Let me rewind it back.
Hey, that's the biggest curveball. Yeah, you could imagine.
I wasn't expecting that. And then, now it makes me wonder how often she been doing this. Because the smile in the back of the cab. She started smiling.
She couldn't have been doing it, Wilkes. Remember, at the beginning of the movie, she just got out of jail.
That smile was interesting. I'm like, was that a?
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Like before that, though, maybe she got. I mean, how did she? I don't remember how she ended up in Rikers. Did they say?
No, she said she was scamming.
New York.
She said she was scamming. She says for boosting and scamming. Yeah, but
but that I don't know if that. Yeah, let's talk about that. I don't know if that smile was, I did a great job, and now he's about to go on his own, or was it like, I got away with it? Yeah, or it could have been a mixture of both. I mean, because wherever she was going, and she was going to basically start a new life, basically.
Yeah,
she was like,
she's gonna do it again. That's what I got from it.
No, I think I took it as, out of all the chaos I've had in my life, I did right by that boy.
I did something.
Yeah, it was probably more of see, I did that kind
of
thing. Like you said, she had already had separation anxiety. People had left her, and they didn't think she was going to amount to nothing. So yeah, I could see that.
That was a weird. Yeah, that was a little bit of a weird touch at the end, because I'm like, because me and Erica looked at each other like, what was that? Like,
I'm telling you, I think it was, because think about it. What we're forgetting is this: Inez was also a foster child who was abused and let go like that.
Yeah.
So she broke the cycle. So I'm on the run for the rest of my life, but I'm gonna catch up with homie. He gonna beat me.
I mean, if they didn't find her by now,
right?
Yeah, she good. I mean, she probably just go to Jersey or something. She'd be all right, man.
Right. I mean, and then look, it's 2001. She is so far down the importance chain.
Right. Exactly.
We trying to find terrorists, man. We got time for this.
If she ain't Arabic,
man. We trying to find terrorists, man. We got time for this.
Yeah, ain't looking
no.
We got time for this.
Yeah, and we didn't really we didn't touch on this, but
she broke
Stop and frisk was going on. That's what was going on during Terry's teen years. Because remember, they pulled up on him. Yeah. He didn't have anything, but that stop.
Yeah, because that's when she said, "Did they ask you anything? Did you say something?"
But man, well done story. Great ending.
Yeah, pretty good.
Kind of surprised all of us. And I think Terry, they went their separate ways. They didn't say where Terry was going. I would have loved, a little paragraph just to say Terry ended up going to Howard and he had a great life and he became whatever.
We can't make it that easy, man.
Yeah, man, I would have loved that part at the end, but I felt like they ended it well. So,
man, I'm still like the girl he was into. She was only in there for a few frames, and she said, "Well, I'm going to Florida. I'm out here."
Yeah, that was quick. Now, was that the same girl when it was younger Terry? That's the same girl, right? It didn't seem
like the same girl. It looked like a different girl.
I thought it was the same girl. I thought
they changed characters, but
it was the same girl. She just got older.
Hey, and that friend.
So y'all don't remember this, but dark skin wasn't cool back then.
Oh, trust me,
he said he only liked light skin or Puerto Rican or something. He said.
Yeah, he said,
trust me, my cousin, man, she dealt with that in the '90s. She's unfortunately still kind of dealing with it, but yeah, she's like A-Trap said, the dark skin ain't really unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the direction I went in. I was like, oh, y'all didn't mess with the dark. Oh, well, hey, dark skin girl.
Hey, scoop them up.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's have the least resistance.
Let's get to the final thoughts and the rating. What were you rating it before you came into tonight, and what are you rating it now? And A-Trap, you come to you.
My final thoughts was this was excellently done. It showed us it showed Black people in a terrible situation making the best out of a horrible situation, making life work for them. It might not be picture perfect, but it is the best we can do. Like it used to be the show called Up and Coming on PBS, and the theme song is the most you can ever do. It's the best you can. So that's what I was thinking when this was on, and I loved it. When I walked into it, I said I was going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 5.
All right. All right.
I was like maybe 4.5, but then I didn't see any flaws in it, and the plot twist pushed it over the top.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It gave you that extra bump right there. All right, Wooks.
Yeah, I didn't have a rating going into it because I had never heard of it, didn't really know what I was getting into, but then I kind of had that nostalgia of New York and the 90s and just the way it was filmed and captured and the way the lines were delivered and the way people looked and dressed, but more so than that, just the story of just triumph and trying to get back up every time, So she might have been on 100 all the time, but I guess she felt like she had to scratch tooth and nail. But I thought it was done well. I'd probably watch it again in case I missed some things.
Yeah.
I definitely would watch it again. Like I said, I didn't have a rating, but I'd say it's a strong 5. Just because of the things that they did not beat the Black family down.
Right.
Didn't come the Lucky didn't get out of jail to go back to jail.
Right.
That we know of.
Right.
We know of. And that's okay though. He seemed like he was trying to put in a day's work.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He had that vest on like he was doing construction.
Yeah, exactly. Inez, she didn't like get hooked up in something she didn't need to get hooked up in.
Mm-hmm.
Every time she opened her mouth, she was looking forward, trying to move forward, coming up with whether it was a scheme to get us out of this or an idea. So, yeah, I really like the fact that it wasn't. I didn't notice. It's like finally something that can just be a normal Black community,
right?
With struggles without the other noise, the drugs.
Right. The negativity.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
And they did. And it was around them. They were in it. They were in the middle of it, but they didn't let it affect them. And especially Terry.
I guess just like with the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show, we would have said, man, that's a perfect Black family. But then they started weaving in like Vanessa got drunk. Somebody started smoking cigarettes. That's kind of like, somebody was lying. They got caught lying because, Keisha.
Yeah, when they caught Theo and Cockroach lying that time,
yeah. So it had its mischievous. It couldn't be perfect all the time, but it was definitely stand up. The mom was a lawyer, dad was a doctor. It's like it was one of those. Hey, we got our troubles, but we can still be positive and move forward. So it was good to see this because Lucky could have turned a different way, or Inez could have went a different way and had everybody in and out of the house, and
and she didn't have a whole bunch of men coming in and out either. They didn't. I mean, if Lucky wasn't there, she was on the grind. I mean, she was working.
Yeah,
she really didn't have time for entertainment.
Yeah. So no, it was. I thought it was done well. It was very. It was. I mean, I guess you could say it was kind of gritty too, like with the situations they were in the system. Dealing with that and trying to get him through school. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I felt like it was well done. I mean, like I was saying, Black Love really showing Black cinema at its finest. It was just art. I mean, with the music, putting the music with the stories that was going on during that time, the gentrification that was going on during that time, with just the nostalgia that it had. At first I had a 4, and then as we were talking, it was a 4.5. And now as we get to the end and y'all said 5s, I'm like, man, I really didn't see no flaws. It wasn't like I didn't like that part, or they could have took that part out. It all had and it all had meaning.
Right.
There was points that we
even the point
was beneficial to the end.
Yeah, even the point to where when Lucky was talking to him on the basketball court, he kind of set him down. Now he didn't look him eye to eye all the time, but he was telling him, hey, and like I told my son before, it's like I can't make these decisions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Be better than what I was, but you have to make this decision. I know you're coming to me for answers, but I don't have the answers to this one.
Right.
Because like I tell my son and I've told other people, it's like I'm not in your emotional makeup.
Right.
I don't know how this is making you feel, so I can't speak to that. I can only give you the resources and mention some things, but only you can make that decision, take that step. Because, like I said, I don't know what is making you feel like emotionally. I don't know how many different ways you're being pulled in what direction. So, and I felt that in the moment when he was talking to him. It's kind of like, hey, I know your moms can be a little hard ass. And I know you love your mom and you want this to work out or whatever, but hey, don't get messed up out here with what you see. I mean, he told him, he's like, don't get caught up in this stuff out here, man. You got a way out. You got your education in front of you. You're smart. You got your head about you. He's like, make the decision. It's up to you. It's on you. I can't decide for you this time.
Yeah. Make the best of this opportunity, because you're already gonna be beyond what me and your mom was able to do.
Right.
And I mean, it was art, man. It had a mixture of like you said, Claudine. It had a mixture of like above the rim, just with the locations and stuff like that. I mean, I really had nothing negative.
Wasn't no gang activity. Wasn't nobody rolling up in the Hyundai screaming out the window, and
right. No drive-bys. Somebody died from gun violence. The only person that died was Lucky because he had cancer.
Right.
And that's a real life thing that could happen.
And to piggyback off Wilkes, me and my son had the same kind of conversation, and it's good to see that Wilkes and I, because I respect Wilkes a lot. It lets me know that I was doing the parenting thing right, and I will offer you this yourself, Ben, because you have a younger person, and it's your first time at the rodeo. I would ask you just to offer this to your daughter, or have your wife offer it because she's a young lady. The words I told my son, exactly what Wilkes told his son, but I added this. I say, BJ, one day, so you're 15. I told him this 15 years ago. I said, BJ, you're 15, man. The next time you wake up, you're going to be 18. I said, you're going to wake up again, you're going to be 25. I said, then you're going to wake up again, you're going to be 32.
Yeah.
I said, then I said, what you don't want to hear is me in your ear saying something after you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm not standing there.
Oh, right.
I said, it's the worst sound in the world.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's the worst sound in the world. And then that day, I remember said, "Hey, BJ, watch this," and I text him 5 names. I said, "We're gonna go to these corners, and these dudes are gonna be there."
Yeah.
All 5 of those guys were right where I told them they were gonna be. He said, "How you know y'all be hanging out?" I said, and every time we got out the car to say, "What's up?" Man, I ain't seen you in about 5 years, man. Where you been?
I was just here 2 minutes ago.
I was just here 10 years ago. You know, I was only you know, it was 15 years.
Nothing changed in their lives.
Nothing.
Oh yeah. I mean, my mom's the same way. She go to the gas station in the hood, and it's like she call them out by name. Like, what you doing up here begging? She doing up here at, you know, I mean, they come up to her and they, oh, Rolanda, you know, I'm just kidding. But like you said, it's like you didn't have that person, you know, constantly barking at you, you know. But could you stand the barking? Because the barking is just trying to get you to get motivated. I'm sure I barked at my son quite a bit. I bit him a few times too, but
yeah.
Got to.
But it like, you know, like I told you, even in his last year in high school, I'm like, son, you're too close to be goofing up now, man.
Right.
I was like, you are too close to be cursing your training ground. I was like, get it now, so you don't have to be like some of the people I remember when I was younger in the church. Man, I wish I would have knew what I knew when at your age.
Right. Because I'm telling you from experience. I'm not telling you something I heard. I'm not telling you from something that I think.
I'm trying to save you a lot of heartache and pain. Trust me.
Yeah, man.
A lot of stress. Yeah.
Trust me, man.
Real
quick to like H-Rap's point, when he said to hear somebody's voice and they're not standing there. You know how many times God is like that?
Oh yeah.
When you get in the bind and you just like,
I knew it. Yeah.
Like,
I was trying to tell you. I was trying to direct you.
Yeah, man.
And sometimes we just want something so bad.
Yeah.
Learn.
The one time I listened, me and my mom used to do battle. I mean, like, because I'm her most hard-headed kid. My head is made of.
You knew everything.
Granted, I knew everything. Straight up, you ain't lying, bro. And I remember the one thing that I remember after the accident, again, reference to accident, my mother used to beat in my head, Brian, you need 8 months of rent, 8 months of light, 8 months of gas.
Right.
She said, you never know if you get fired. She said,
anything
you get fired, you need to take care of yourself.
My dad, it's funny. H-Rap will say this, and I know we got to go. My dad would always say, you don't know what's going to happen when you pull up to that job. It could be chains on the door and out of business, or we moved, or sorry, that's a wrap. There is a college to this day, which it was a local college, and they did the same thing to their employees. They showed up.
It was over.
That door, the door was locked. They were calling corporate, trying to figure out what was going on. Man, you don't know what's going to happen. Overnight, you made that decision?
School was like not accredited anymore, and people were paying.
Morris Brown.
Man,
you're right.
You never know what's going to happen. You got to, anything can happen, man.
And that was my state. When I was laying down on that couch and in my bed, could barely move, I heard my mother say, boy, you better have 8 months. And luckily, I had the 8 plus 8.
Yeah.
I had 8 plus 8. And that's what stopped me from jumping off a brick. Because I don't know what I would have done. Because my pride wouldn't. And to mention, Wilson's mentioned God a couple of times. I think God has humbled me so much in the last year because my pride was insane. I was out of control proud. I remember one day, that's the one, man, it really touched me what you said to your boy, man.
Because it was just like, man, you got to do this, man. At any cost, you got to do this. If you don't do nothing else,
you right there.
You got to do this, man.
I remember.
I was serious. I was like, man, you can't.
He was spending crazy because me and his mom made good money, and he grew up. Both my children grew up in a dual family home, dual parent.
Yeah, right.
We were both there. We stuck it out till my daughter was a junior. So at that point, it's just like you on cruise control anyway. And I remember telling BJ, I said, BJ, we went to the store one time, and he was just spending my money. And I was letting him do it because, I made myself a promise that I would be the greatest dad I could.
Right.
I know that I can tell you the exact day that I told my daughter no the first time. She was a sophomore in college. That's the first time I said, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
But I remember telling BJ, hey, B, you spending my money now. Right. I said, it's cool. Get what you want. Because at first, then he stopped. I said, no, get what you want.
Yeah.
When you get older, if you can't afford to buy 3 pair of Jordans, don't buy one.
Exactly. Because that one going to put you in a hole.
That one going to put you. Now, if you can afford to buy 3, then buy one.
Right.
Yeah. I say, don't buy anything unless you can afford to buy 3. That's expensive.
Comfortably.
Yeah. If you can afford to get 3, then you get it. Because I remember
if you can't pay
my money
cash
like
for it,
millionaire.
Yeah. Right.
If you can't pay cash for it, or you put it on a card and you can't pay it off within 1 to 2 months, you don't need it.
No, you don't need it.
You don't need it. Because hey, years later, you still could be paying for them wings you eat.
Man, man,
in college, man, I was swiping that credit card
so much money,
everything.
It's the credit card companies making so much money in Atlanta, Georgia, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
they just send it to you. They just send it to you. You don't really know what you're doing.
I was walking up on campus at Cedar Valley College. GTE Visa. The first credit card I ever had, a GTE Visa.
Yeah.
My buddy, he goes to Just for Feet and get 2 pairs of. I'm like, Robert, how you paying for all this, man? Because you gotta pay the card back, man. The card don't pay itself.
Free. Yeah. But nobody, nobody's really teaching you. Right. Nobody's really saying like this is not free money. You got to pay this back.
Your room looked like a 1995 sweepstakes.
Right. You just won Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah. You got TVs and skateboards, and basketballs.
You're not even gonna use.
Yeah, radio systems.
Yeah, I got an extra PlayStation. Like, what you got to? We need the extra PlayStation for?
I mean, y'all see me. I like those big watches.
Yeah.
And the beauty in it, the price hasn't gone up much since I first started buying them. I had a Capital One credit card. Was my very first credit card. It was this watch that every time I went to the department store, it was $99.99. 107.
What's in your wallet?
Man, that card hit my wallet. I caught the bus to that store. Like, let me get that.
I need that one right there.
I need that one right there.
It's still $99.99.
And I kept saying, I'm gonna get that joker. I'm gonna get that joker.
I need that one down front.
Wouldn't die. My mother used to tease me. She's like, I thought you was getting that watch every time I got paid. I thought you was getting that watch. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna get it. She's like, see, you're cheap. That's why you got little ears. What? But yep, man.
That's one of them weird things. Black parents.
Right, man. That credit card came. My ears got this big.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember when I don't remember what Jordans it was, but one of my college friends, we caught the MARTA, which is the train, over to the Lenox Mall to get some Jordans. We had no car. We caught the train all the way back. Like them
$300 on shoes.
Them Jordans was way too important. But yeah,
that watch, man. Yeah. And I wore that watch, man. I got that watch in 89. Man, I wore that watch to 96.
that joke out, man.
Yeah,
I got all 100.
Yeah. I would get all of them.
I'll never get that watch, boy.
But another great one tonight.
Yeah.
1001. Definitely watch it. I wanted to get to the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. Gave it 96%. That's really good. IMDb 7.1 out of 10, and then 4.3 as far as Google. So it's got some good ratings. I would highly recommend it. It's on Peacock, Amazon, and I think it's on Apple TV as well. So you probably got one of those 9 times out of 10. So definitely check it out. Coming up next week, we're gonna do 85 South Ghetto Legends. It's
on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming out tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
So Chico Bean, DC Young Fly, rest in peace to his wife, and what's the other guy's name?
That's a cool brother, man.
Yeah, he is. He is.
All three of them, I've seen them in interviews. They good people.
Yeah, yeah. And Carlos Miller, they were all on Wild 'N Out. I think that's how they all kind of got started. Shout out to Nick Cannon. But yeah, it's their special, and they do a unique style of comedy, and so we're gonna be reviewing that next week. But what's coming up on the End of the Bench tomorrow?
Well, the End of the Bench got when it's a lot of stories, I had to narrow them down. But one of them I did narrow down is voting. I've been beating this horse. It can never be a dead horse. It's about voting, not getting voting fatigue, and how important voting is. That's the first one. Simply because it's a young lady, Ajane Owens, she goes by the name of AJ Owens. Rest in peace to her. Her children were playing in a yard next door to the building that they lived in, doing what kids do. They weren't rowdy. They wasn't doing any. They were being small children.
Right.
This bigot comes out of her house, hits one of them with a rollerblade. They drop their iPad. Lady picks up the iPad, goes back in the house, and according to witnesses, this lady, she wasn't belligerent. AJ wasn't belligerent. She's just knocking on the door. Hey, we need to talk about this. Give me my iPad back.
Right.
Yeah.
And the lady shot through the door and killed her.
Wow.
It's two things. The reason we need, how does that affect voting? Florida has stand your ground. And they didn't initially arrest this woman because she was hiding behind the pretenses of stand your ground. It's three things that make you need to vote: the sheriff's department, your Congress person, your Senate person. These people, we need to get behind these things. And one of the reasons she's no longer here is the inability to get someone to her in a timely fashion, and that is census.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have an area hospital with a trauma center, you get there fast. AJ may still be here. She's permanently damaged, but that's one of the things. That's the one thing that I've definitely settled on speaking on, because that can be prevented. The act of violence cannot be prevented. The woman no longer being here can be.
Yeah.
Do they still teach social studies in school? Do they still teach social studies?
They don't teach civics anymore.
Okay, because when you said the census, you'd be surprised how many people sit up here and why we got to fill this out? What's this about? Man, they taught you that in elementary, man.
Yeah, they taught you that in elementary.
In civics and social studies. I was like, you want that Starbucks and Whole Food on the corner?
Right.
You want that fire station down the street? I mean, that stuff's it's not gonna come overnight.
You need the police down the street. You need an area hospital with a trauma center. Because if you ever watched this documentary for 30 for 30 on ESPN called Benji, he was shot on the south side of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Around Simeon High School is like on 83rd. So he may have been shot on 78th. I mean, he may have been 81st. He was like 80th, 81st Street. The nearest trauma center is 800 North and 800 South.
Wow. So 81, 800?
That's a lot of blocks.
68 blocks.
That's a lot of blocks.
And wasn't that a mistaken identity or something? I mean,
it was. Benji was the LeBron James of his day, and it was just a young man who's carrying a gun, trying to feel tough. Bumped into an angry, arguing with his girlfriend, 6'8" dude, and because he was scared, he pulled out the gun and shot him.
Wow.
So, but the point is, we must engage. Otherwise, you just thinking, oh man, they trying to do this and do that. No, the census is protected by the 1948 Privacy Act that was initially designed to protect Japanese Americans because they were put in containment camps, so they were afraid of the census. So anything that's on the census cannot be cross-referenced through any other governmental agency.
Right.
So if you fill out the census and you say it's 21 people living in my house, the people who are in charge of Section 8 cannot reference census and say, you got to leave because it's too many. You say it was only supposed to be 2 people there. They can't do it.
Right.
So that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. I got like 7, 8 other things. I traditionally only talk about 3 topics, but I got 7, 8 other things that I think. And I just, I recently started, due to the partnership with me and Big Mo, I've stepped up a little better because he said I make him better, but he actually makes me better. He makes me a better podcaster, and my shows will get a lot better. Because me and Mo, we've been talking a lot, and he said I help him with his shows. And then the funny thing, I noticed it last time he was doing a show. I was texting him what just here. And he after we talk, after the show, he always calls me. After Bible study, we'll talk about what we're doing. And after we end this, stay on for a second, Ben, because I want to ask you a question. This might be beneficial to you and BS3 as well.
Okay, cool. But definitely tomorrow, End of the Bench, which will be coming on at 6 p.m.
HA.
Yes, the. Oh yeah, I got that spell wrong. I'll fix that. But the End of the Bench, check that out, 6 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook. And there will not be a Queen, 3, and King tomorrow. Really, they'll be coming back in July the 11th. So they're going on a little bit of a break. But check out the past episodes on bs3network.com. And go ahead and close us out, Trump.
As usual, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up. Please hit that like button. It's important. It draws people to us. This is not a hobby. BS3 is not a hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need more people to view. And I'm gonna get political. If you sick of other people telling our stories and seeing it through the lens of other people, tune in to BX3, tune in to the End of the Bench, tune in to Tiger Park Media, because we're trying to provide you with the point of view for you, not everybody else's point of view of you.
Right.
It's a governance structure and a social structure. The governance structure is how the world sees you. The social structure is how you see yourself. BS3, the End of the Bench, Tiger Park Media. We're trying to do social structure. We're doing social structure building. But with that being said, it's not to be so heavy. Dream your dreams and man up and woman up and live your dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor and surround sound. And as usual, y'all know it's the middle of the summer. I just spent all this money on that barbecue. So if I owe you stuff, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
Him upstairs.
Him up.